Well guys, got a little update on the YZ85.
Flashback.
It's a beautiful day today and I was able to get some paint on my swing arm, subframe. I was able to set up my frame on this engine hoist crane, and I have 2 coats of primer and 3 coats, I think so far, of VHT roll bar chassis black gloss paint from the hardware store. It seems to have good reviews on durability, and we'll see how long it lasts, but I'm not expecting anything crazy out of it, but at least just to get me by for now. I can always touch it up because it's paint. Powder coat is very hard to touch up because you can't just take it off and repowder coat it as easily, but you can just take a paintbrush and paint regular paint. So we'll see how it goes. If it gets nicks and chips and whatnot, even from engine install and everything, it's okay. I'll just touch it up. I'm not expecting perfection, but it's good for now. This is the paint that I'm using on it. It's just VHT roll bar and chassis paint. I think it's like $9 from the hardware store, so we'll see how long it lasts. Gonna be mounting up the front forks here. I made sure to grease this needle bearing on the bottom and the top, the tapered bearing, just to make sure it's all good to go. I'm gonna be wrapping the forks with my fake carbon fiber stuff, which is right here. Alright, going to be installing the rear wheel, making sure to grease everything again, making sure to grease the axle, the bearings. Going to be putting it all together here. Alright guys, today I am buttoning up the engine. So I took off the clutch cover and I'm going to be painting the clutch cover that goes around here, and then also the actual Boysen factory racing clutch cover that I have here. I painted it and we'll be able to slap that on there. And hopefully today I'll be able to put everything together and getting this whole bike hopefully together with the plastics graphics. That's the goal, so I'm excited to finally see what it'll look like. Got the first part of the clutch cover on. Didn't torque them down yet until I get the other cover on. Got the engine in. Suspension, rear wheel is not hooked up yet, but it's just in there with the axle. The front's on right now. What I'm doing is checking the height of the forks. So taking this and just moving it down to here. I'm at 490, and then triple tree over here 485, 490. So it's like 4 thousandths on that side. But it's a nice little trick just to make sure that your forks are even in your triple tree. I got half the carbon fiber wrap on the forks finished. So I'm just going to do the other side and keep putting her together. It's pretty cool. Looks pretty good. It's pretty easy to put on too. Just mist it with some water on the fork and then put it on. You can use a heat gun as well if you need to, but not necessary. Heat gun's more for when you're forming it around really complex areas, but for these they're just round and a little bit messed up here. Trying to get some air bubbles out from it, just trying to get over that bit of a diameter change there, but overall pretty good. Here we are now. I got the engine in, got the radiator filled. What's next? Put a little bit of carbon fiber tape here just to help prevent from rubbing against the frame, and then gas tank, making sure everything works, tightening everything down, then I'll start putting the rear together. Got the rear brake on, got the holders, got the pedal. Oh, I have to put the circlip underneath there, but now, chain. Got a nice gold chain. Wasn't very much, I don't even know what brand it is. It's not DID or anything, but firepower, heavy duty. So, put this up and we'll see how it goes. It's another day here, and so yesterday I was able to take it for the first test run down the road. Today I'm putting on the plastics and graphics, so see how it looks. It's going to be pretty exciting. I got the front fender here. I'm putting on the front number plate, and one quick little tip is that when you're installing the brand new plastics on the older style YZ85 frame, I'm going to have to trim a little bit here because it swings over and hits the expansion chamber. And then another thing I'm going to do is actually, I have an 8mm tap, or a 6mm tap here, and I'm going to be tapping these two little holes. So these two little things on the bottom of the number plate, they're actually gonna, I have longer screws that come up through, so they'll go up through the bottom of the front fender here and up through the triple tree, and they're gonna stick up a tiny bit, and those threads are gonna thread into the bottom of this front number plate. But yeah, so today we're gonna be putting on the plastics, putting on the graphics, and we're gonna see how she looks. Since I'm gonna be mounting a light up here, I'm going to be slicing this piece off right here. So this is normally to like wrap around your clutch and your whatever cable up here, but I'm gonna cut it off just because I'm gonna be mounting my LED bar right around this area. That's the plan anyway. Well guys, got a little update on the YZ85. She's torn apart again. I had her running, had her going nice. Was going down the street and someone pulled out in front of me. So I ended up bending the axle there. I bent my front wheel. As you can see here, I popped my tire. Got to rebuild her now. I sheared off my handlebars here. The bolt actually sheared off when I impacted, and then my triple trees, the forks twisted in the triple trees. So all front end damage. I'm replacing. I already ordered all the new parts for it. Got a new wheel coming in. Gonna have to re-seal it with the tubeless setup. So I got new tape coming in because I ran out of tape. So I ran out of this tape, this sealant tape. Got new Gorilla tape for the clear on the tubeless setup, but other than that, everything else is okay. I have a little bit of damage on my rear fender here. It broke some of the plastics here, and then my front fender got all scratched up and dinged up, and then it cracked right there. So right across the front fender it cracked, and I got a little bit of damage on my rear side fender. Luckily I'm okay, but the bike took a little bit of a beating. So round two, I guess. Here's a closer look at the wheel, the damage of the wheel. I was able to get the axle out, but it exploded the bearing on this side of the wheel. So like I said, I'm hopefully going to be able to save these tires. Just going to remove the tire, put the new sealant on the new tire once I get it in. I'll use this same valve stem here, and we're going to be hacking off the axle, because this is the axle from the one side. So there's the nut, or the head of the bolt on one side. So there's no space there, or I can't pull it off because this is what happened to the axle at the incident. So literally bent it. I'll either bend it back, or I'm just going to hack it off right here, because I actually have a new axle ordered on the way.
The next day.
Wow. What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be trying to mount up my brake light and license plate, and trying to get my wiring system done. So I'm thinking I'm going to put the brake light right here on these two mudguard bolts. They're perfectly in line with each other, and there's a little bit of room. I'll back those out, probably trim the ends off of this, and make the width, re-drill some holes to make the width right, bend this thing flat, and then mount. I'm planning on putting like these two LEDs vertically, kind of like a pause sign up in there. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna be installing my Tusk brake light switch, the pressure switch to the front brake light, or the front brake lever, and I'm gonna be using these, whatever these things are, these heat shrink connectors. And what else do I have here? I got the front LED light mounted, kind of mocked up on my handlebars, so once my new triple trees come in that got bent from the accident, these are the old ones, they're actually misaligned right now, it's hard to tell, but right here and right here they actually got torqued, so I had to buy a new bottom triple. Luckily I lucked out and the front forks are actually still straight, so that's good. So yeah, the plan is to use this. This Zeta top triple tree still is good, did not bend in the accident, so I'm going to be using this mounted up to the new bottom triple once that comes in from eBay. And I'm going to be mounting up the headlight, and then I got a switch coming in, so I have a turning on the power to my whole wiring system. I got another horn button, I got a horn coming in, and a few other things. Alright, I got this bracket made up, and I just put these two holes here and then put them on the mud flat bracket, and it's pretty sturdy enough, I think. If it breaks, it breaks, but I'll remake one. And then I'm going to be taking these LEDs, making like a pause sign here, and I'm going to be going probably the wire up and then up and around and up through here to underneath in the air box where we're going to put the battery, but this is going to get zip tied. Alright, I took all the plastics off. I'm working on putting the battery in right now. This is my battery. It's a lithium ion, rechargeable, so it has this female end here and then a male end here. And I'm going to be buying a piece that looks like this male end, but it has a positive and a negative coming off of it, and that's what I run to the wires, or to the electrical system. And then this is the recharge. The female is the recharge one. So I'm planning on putting it on the airbox like this. I'm going to be drilling a hole right through my airbox right here, about my finger size. So when the fairing is on here, or when the plastics are on here, I can actually reach up in here with my finger and flip the switch. I'm going to be drilling 2 holes right here, and then putting a zip tie holding this battery on top of the foam air filter here. So everything should be neat and tucked away and rechargeable. This battery's going to last with the headlight on about, I think, around 4 hours. Maybe more, maybe less, but that's more than enough for fuel tank, and I don't plan on riding at night much anyway. Mostly just to be seen better. I'm going to be running this out here, the recharge one. I'm going to be running it out here, probably cutting a hole in this rear fender, somehow routing it to have it just dangling here and cover it off with tape. So then whenever I need to recharge, I can just plug it in here and get it recharging. So everything's mounted up here now. I got my 2 LED taillights here in vertical formation here, and then I'm going to be wiring this up with my brake light, or for the brake light, with the front handlebar switch and all that. Alright, so I got a little update. Here's my new triples that came in the mail. So has the stock upper, which I'm probably going to use this Zeta one because it did not bend in the crash, but this bottom one I'm going to be replacing with this. It's just a replacement, I think, from like an 02 or 03 YZ85. A bit of a mess here, but getting it together. We got these pigtails for the electrical system, so I was able to wire this up. I got a pigtail coming out of this. I think it's a 9800 milliamp hour battery. I got to put a fuse on my power right out here on the hotline. Probably, I'm not sure what fuse to use yet, but I was able to hook up my front LED to it and my rear tail lights just to test out the brake lights. So if I flip this, I'm going to reach, I cut a hole right here in the airbox, a little one, so if I reach under here while the side panels are on here, I can flip the switch on, and then I'm going to have another switch up on the handlebars to actually turn on my brake lights. But those are the brake lights right now. That's on high, or that's hooked up to the red line right here, which is actual brake light. The yellow is the running light, so I'm going to hook those up. So I'll have a switch up on the front brake lever, and that'll switch on my rear brake lights on high for the reds. But here's my front LEDs as well, so the front bar is working. So today that's going to be the challenge, is getting some of this together. I got a horn, 12 volt horn, I got the switch for the on-off for the brake light. Got a few other pieces here that I'm working with. Oh, I also got a key as well. So my plan for the key is to just use the on-off, which is the red and black lines, and that's just a switch basically, obviously, and for the key. And I'm going to switch it to my, let me turn that off real fast. I'm going to add it to the pickup line, the coil basically coming up from the stator up to my coil. I'm basically just going to add it in here and put a switch in here. So if I'm going to make a mounting plate somewhere up here near the ignition area up here on the bike, but basically you're just going to flip the switch and it'll put on and off power to the coil. So that'll be able to prevent thieves hopefully in the future. And I'm also getting this thing from eBay that I'm planning on. I found some space right here that'll fit right here and zip tie it to the subframe, which is a motion detector alarm system. So when the bike shakes at all or anything like that, it'll set off this super loud alarm, and I can have a remote control for it. It's just a battery powered thing. So that'll be good, hopefully, for some safety precautions. But yeah, so that's what we got going on today. So this is the head off the YZ85, and I'm running into a few issues. So I blew a head gasket, and the gasket right here, the rubber gasket that sits here, and then on the cylinder, because this is a bored out cylinder, so it's not stock sized, it's a little bit bigger. And what's happening is it's blowing out for some reason. I don't know if the Fathead Racing head is designed incorrectly or something, but I keep blowing head gaskets right here where the water goes. So I was getting pressure out of my radiators, I was boiling over and getting compression, or some of the compression was going into the radiator or in through the water jackets and into the radiators and out the overflow. So what I decided to do is go back to stock head, and this is the stock head for a YZ85 and stock bore as well. So what I did is I put it on the lathe and then turned it and made it a little bit bigger around here, but not too big to where it won't have gasket sealing surface here. So the surface here should be good. So what I have set up here is a lapping plate, but I'm just using that as a flat surface because I don't need to go as fine as a lapping plate. I'm just going to use 400 grit sandpaper with some PB Blaster sprayed on it, and I'm just going to be sanding down the surfaces of both the head and the cylinder just to make them nice, make sure they're flat. For when I do put the studs back in here, I'm going to seal them in with thread locker. I'm going to put the studs back in, torque them down, and then I have new head gaskets on the way, and that should be good because I was getting blown head gaskets, but now I should be good because of this surface right here. There's more sealing surface. It's hard to, I'm using my finger, I apologize for that, but this surface distance here is more than the Fathead Racing one. They push it right to the limit to where the gasket's sitting, so should be good to go. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to use the CNC billet aluminum Fathead Racing anymore. I'm just going to go back to stock, and it should be okay. So I sprayed it with PB Blaster, and I'm just going to go in a random pattern, sometimes figure 8, sometimes back and forth, just kind of getting it all. Doesn't take much pressure, trying to keep it even as I'm pushing down. There's just a few seconds on there. Just wipe it off and making sure that the surface is touching everywhere. There's a bit of a gouge, right? Not gouge, but a bit of just a pit right there, a ding that someone put in it, but overall the full surface is being touched at all times. Just wanted to make sure real quick. I don't want to take too much off because it's going to change my compression. I don't want to go up in compression or anything like that. It's just, I mean, very minimally it's going to change it, but I just wanted to make sure it's all good and flat and everything's should be good to go on this surface, and I'll do the same to the cylinder. Should be good enough. Oh yeah. So you got all the surfaces there, so I'll clean it up, blow it out, wipe it down, get all the metal, if there's any metal shavings anywhere, and clean up the cylinder. The inside of the cylinder still looks really good. I'm going to check ring gap before I put it all back together again because I didn't do that in the first place. I probably should have, but it was running, so I don't think I'm going to do any porting or anything like that. Technically I could start like doing some porting, but I'm not going for crazy performance here. I just wanted to make sure that it all runs together and stuff. So still got cross hatches in the cylinder. It looks like a Nikasil plated cylinder, so that's good. No dings, no anything like that when it was running with some of the coolant leaking into the cylinder. Actually, I think it was blowing out of the cylinder, not into the cylinder. It was actually putting pressure through the coolant system. But anyways, that's pretty much it. So on to the next thing.